We see now the reason why the party was so worried about delivering their report to Queen Arshtat. The devastation in Lord Lake was the Queen's doing after Lord Rovere staged a coup that stole an important rune. The Queen says she took on the Sun rune, supposedly the most powerful rune, to punish Lord Lake. We see a very vindictive, cruel side to the Queen before her husband steps in and seems to bring a change over her. The Sun rune, by the way, is that big-ass thing on Arshtat's forehead. Afterwards, we talk to our friends about the Queen's words a bit before Cyalides tells us we ought to see our sister, Lim's Leia, before resting. George figures he should return to the guards' quarters and call Cyalides old, which causes them both to leave our party for now. With that, we're left free to explore the castle. The section of Castle Falena that we're allowed to explore consists of two symmetrical sides, each with 2 floors. One side holds the rooms for female royalty on the top floor and the kitchen and treasure rooms on the bottom. The other hosts male royal rooms, the guards' quarters, and the castle dungeon. First, though, we're going to this spiral staircase in the center, which leads up to the resting place of the Sun rune if it were not presently residing with the Queen. We meet the head runekeeper, who will tell us a bit about these runes that seem so important. Runes are essentially this game's magic system. The runes we will eventually end up finding or buying can be equipped on our characters and give them extra abilities or allow them to cast spells. In lore, however, they are much more than that. Runes carry with them the essence of base elements of the world, things like wind, earth, and fire.
Heed my call.
Now, most runes aren't unique, by which I mean there are tons of water runes and whatnot. 3, however, are unique and are said to be the reason for Falena's prosperity. These 3 are the Twilight rune, the Dawn rune, and the Sun rune. The Twilight and Dawn runes are said to bring Falena protection, although we know the Dawn rune was stolen 2 years ago. The Sun rune gives Falena its power, acting as something of a deterrent against foreign forces. The Sun rune, like the other runes, holds the power of what it represents, which is how it blew Lord Lake the fuck up. These 3 runes are thought to be true runes, or runes that came into being at the very creation of the universe. The Runekeeper begins to postulate that the Sun rune's influence is the reason for the Queen's behavior as of late, but quickly stops himself. Although not before we learn that it is tradition for the Sun rune to be kept here, and Arshtat broke that tradition to punish Lord Lake. Anyway, Leone tells us the first place we should look for our sister is her room in the West Wing. As you probably noticed, Leone follows her character everywhere, and this will be the case for much of the game. She's a good bodyguard. On the way, we stop by Cyalides' room and talk to her attendants, who are trying to stop anyone from disturbing her rest. One of them mentions how she admires Cyalides' attitude towards having her right to the throne taken from her. Intriguing. We go a short distance to our sister's room to find out she isn't there, and talking to her 2 maids reveals she was waiting but got impatient and went to look for us. One of the maids also laments that our sister, who we call Lim, is to be married soon despite being so young. We're really not given a lot of direction here, so we kind of wander aimlessly around the castle. We find a soldier nursing old wounds who tells us that Arshtat came to power after the death of the last queen left Falena in turmoil. A rival power, the New Armee's kingdom, sought to take advantage, but Arshtat and Farid were able to unite Falena and push them back. Also in our wanderings, we come across a storage room containing 2 chests. This is our castle too, so we take what's in them. We get a dress and a pair of refined clothes. These are armor pieces that aren't better than what we have on, so we'll sell them later. Talking to the official in here tells us that this used to be a treasure room, but Arshtat sold most of her mother's treasure to help rebuild Falena after the Armee's invasion. Eventually, we come across 2 nobles complaining about the queen and, well, us. We eavesdrop on them, learning that they too doubt the Queen's stability and believe she is positioning us to join the realm of politics. They mention a Lord Barrows and Lord Godwin as two major political players before they are interrupted.
Oh, you boys look like you're having fun. If you're gonna speak your mind, you should really pay attention to where you are. You never know, some rogue knight might slip out of the guard room and come passing by. Okay?
This is Kyle, a member of the Queen's Knights and also a total bro. He scares off the two bad-mouthing nobles before calling us over. He tells us to follow him to the guards' quarters to meet the other Queen's Knights and to wait for Lim since she's bound to show up there in her search for us. He joins our party.
Ah, His Royal Highness. Hey.
Huh. Where's His Majesty, Ferret?
He went out through the back. He's a busy man, you know.
Never mind that. Kyle, where have you been?
Me? Nowhere. Just wanted to see the prince, that's all.
That's all? Do you always take your duty so lightly?
Your Royal Highness. Sir, you must be exhausted after your inspection of Lord Lake. Actually, I should have accompanied you on your trip, but His Majesty didn't give me the order.
Of course he didn't. After all, Lord Lake is your hometown, isn't it, Galleon? Ferret wouldn't make you go there. The guy's not heartless, you know.
Yes, but I have already been back there once. His Majesty needn't protect me.
But Galleon, I don't see how you could ever come to terms with it.
It's been 2 years, but the Queen still won't even let them rebuild. Man, talk about heartless.
Hold your tongue, Kyle.
Elenia?
Her Majesty imposed a suitable punishment on those traitors, plain and simple. She did what a queen has to do. And we, the Queen's Knights, have no business second-guessing her.
Yeah, that's what you say, Elenia, but—
Silence, Kyle. No matter the circumstances, the fact remains that the people of Lord Lake committed treason. They must serve their penance.
I'm sorry, guys, but I think the Queen went way too far.
Kyle, how dare you disrespect our queen! The Sun Rune is proof enough that this nation and Her Majesty have heaven's divine blessing. It's only natural the rune's judgment would come down on anyone who dares defy Her Majesty's authority. If you ask me, I don't think Her Majesty has used the Sun Rune enough.
Yeah, right. You're starting to sound just like Lord Godwin. And on that note, I don't know if I can trust a knight who's merely a pawn of the Godwin family.
Insolent fool! You're one to talk, seeing how you're just a mouthpiece for the Barrows family!
Ridiculous. You don't know what the hell you're talking about.
That will be enough. Do you realize how disgracefully you're acting in front of His Royal Highness? We are terribly sorry, Your Highness. You are most kind, Your Highness. But we should be protecting the royal family, not getting involved in private quarrels that might affect our duties. Kyle, especially you.
Huh? Me?
Your manner of speaking sounds like criticism of Her Majesty. You should restrain yourself a little.
That's all right, Zahak. Please, everybody, continue.
Your commandership.
Don't mind me. As you were. As you all know, Her Majesty has been troubled ever since the split between the two factions of the Senate. The Godwin faction has been gaining more and more power recently, which has caused Her Majesty much anger. At a time like this, Her Majesty wants true loyalty from us, the Queen's Knights. Some people may believe that knights must give absolute obedience to their master. But that's not true loyalty. True loyalty means being able to speak openly about what you think is right, what you think is wrong. Of course, I'd be upset with any fool who thought he could criticize Her Majesty wherever and whenever he wanted. But at the very least, in this room, I want us to be able to express our views openly, without fear of reprisal. Now, if there are any constructive opinions you'd like to share with Her Majesty, I'd be happy to pass them on for you. Understood?
Yes, sire.
Leon,
Your Majesty?
when you two have thoughts and ideas of your own, please don't be shy about sharing them with us. The Queen's Knights are known for their artistry with a blade, but they also have much wisdom and insight to impart. Be wise and heed their words.
Yes, sire.
We're left to speak with the members of the Queen's Knights. First is Galleon, a stern man from Lord Lake. Though he seems to have come to terms with the Queen's decision, he does impart his thanks for us raising concern to the Queen, suggesting the event weighs more heavily on him than he lets on. George we've already met, but he does fill us in a little on the deal with these Godwins and Burrows families. Essentially, the Godwins and their supporters purport expansion and aggressive use of runes, the Sun Rune in particular, while the Burrows call for more internal stability and less usage of runes. Zahak is a stoic man whose primary concern seems to be loyalty to the Queen and does not believe she should be questioned. Next, there's Elenia, a fierce supporter of the Godwin family and their ideals. She feels the Godwins are unfairly blamed by Farad and think they only want what's best for Felena. Finally, there's Kyle, who strangely enough asks us what we think about George. He says the other Queen's Knights know very little about him other than his skill in battle, and a rumor that he used to be a general in the land to the north.
Hey, has anybody seen my brother in here? Princess? Oh, brother! Oh, brother! brother!
Yikes, quite a welcome there.
Gee, the princess sure is crazy about her big brother, huh?
Strangely enough, this is the first of many dialogue choices in the intro that actually affect the game, or at least the ending. Kind of bizarrely, how you treat your sister and Leon during this first part can have big consequences on what ending you get. Generally, as long as you're nice to both, you'll be on your way to the quote-unquote best ending. I'll put these handy-dandy indicators on choices that I think affect this, though I'm not sure we know exactly which ones are important.
Oh, welcome back! I missed you so much! Princess! Did you find your brother? Oh, my! Well, hello. Welcome home, Prince. You know, the two of you standing there like that, you look just like an armadillan father and daughter. Yep.
Oh boy, there she goes with that nonsense again.
We finally meet our affectionate sister Lim, as well as her bodyguard Miyaki's. We get a look at the relationship between the two, which mostly consists of Miyaki's teasing Lim. Lim scolds us for not coming to see her sooner, but thankfully Farad walks in and explains our situation. Farad tells us that our next duty will be going to a place called Stormfist to inspect the preparations for an event called the Sacred Games. The Sacred Games is a fighting tournament held whenever a princess comes of age for marriage, and is used to determine her future husband. Lim, to the dismay of Farad, is next in line for the throne. He rightfully points out she's too young for a fiancé since she's like 10 years old at this point, but, well, it was a different time, okay? Miyaki is apparently excited at the prospect of child marriage, wonders aloud about who could potentially win the Sacred Games. Farad says the list of applicants is being held at the Senate, and we're dragged along with Lim, Miyaki's, Leon, and Kyle to go take a look. On our way out, we're stopped by Cyalides, who scolds Lim for waking her up. She decides to come with us to the Senate Hall to see the list of applicants. We also learn that Kyle has a thing for Cyalides, but it's more that he's a horn dog than a personal attachment to her. With that, we can finally leave the Sun Palace and explore Solfalena. We take a turn at the steps first, though, and talk to a noble who explains that the Queen's Knights lost most of their number during the Armee's invasion, which is why there are so few currently. Near him, we also find a chest containing a scarf. It's just a short walk before we reach the Senate Hall, outside of which we find a chest containing some mega medicine, and also a cat. Appalled at the cat's racist remarks, we enter the Senate Hall and are directed to the clerk's office to find the list of applicants. Unfortunately, the clerk isn't here, and so we must wait for him to return. What we have to do, which by the way is not at all properly communicated to us, is talk to every person in the Senate Hall at least once for the clerk to return. Speaking to the Senate members and guards mostly reaffirms the conflict between the Godwin and Barrows family and how that divide influences much of what the Senate discusses. Entering the main room, we finally meet one of these lords we're hearing so much about.
Oh, if it isn't the princess! A most fortuitous meeting, yes, yes. And Her Royal Highness Cyalides, and His Royal Highness the Prince. Oh, and I see Kyle is with you too. Oh, such a pleasure to run into so many people that I usually don't get a chance to see. Oh, yes, indeed. I, Solemn Burrows, am a very lucky man today, if I do say so myself. Yes. Oh, my, Your Royal Highness. You do sound a tad fatigued, yes. Come to think of it, you and Her Royal Highness Cyalides just got back from an inspection visit. Did you not, sir? Oh, no wonder you're so exhausted then.
So, Lord Burrows, why have you graced us with your presence today? What business would bring a man of your stature all the way here? The Senate's in recess, after all.
A man of my stature? Oh no, my, you're far too kind. Indeed, though it's true I've been made the head of my faction, I'm little more than a glorified facilitator. And now that the Senate is out of session, I have to run about on little errands attending to trivial details.
Come on, Dad, hurry up. Let me say hello to the princess, too.
Yoram, my, sorry about that, son.
Greetings, everyone. I trust you are all well. I am Yoram Burrows, son of the great Solemn Burrows. Ah, fair princess, do you remember me, perchance?
Yes. We met a few times at the Sun Palace banquets, I think.
Oh, princess, you do remember me. My, I am truly the happiest man alive. And I, too, have never once, no, not for one day, no, not even for one moment, forgotten how you looked. And now, with the elegant object of my affection standing before me, oh, my heart is about to flutter away. Oh, princess, you are like a precious gem in the heavens that someone such as I could never ever hope to reach. But please, if you would just permit me to kiss that ever so lovely hand of yours,
That's more than enough of that. Mia Keys, where'd you come from?
Just in time.
The only gentlemen allowed to touch the princess are His Majesty Ferret and His Royal Highness the Prince. If you still insist on doing so, you'd better be prepared for the consequences.
Consequences?
The waters of the Thetis River are really cold, you know.
Meet Salam and Urim Barrows, the father and son at the head of the Barrows family who is vying for peace. Yeah, the party says their farewells to the Barrows and talk about how much they do not want Urim to win the Sacred Games. That's more likely than you'd think, however, as applicants are allowed to have champions fight in their stead. This is why the Godwin and Barrows families are the favorites to win, as they have the most money for which to buy strong fighters. Having spoken to everyone in the Senate Hall, the clerk in charge of the list finally shows up and lets us see it. People from all over the world have applied seeking to become Lim's husband and leader of the Queen's Knights. Again, Felena is a queendom, so you have to wonder why those with political aspirations are so keen on marrying her. The most interesting name on the list is Gazelle Godwin. Though we know already the Godwin family would be seeking to win the Sacred Games, Siles makes mention that she was originally meant to wed Gazelle until the engagement was broken off. As she says, her fiancé is going to marry her niece, her 10-year-old niece. Royalty was fucking weird. When we leave the Senate Hall, Siles points out it's time for Lim's afternoon studies, and so the two of them and Miyake's leave our party for now. The three left have some free time to explore the city, so Kyle comes up with the wonderful idea to go scope out some titties. The new proprietor of the rune shop is apparently a looker. We say we aren't interested because I know we end up going there anyway and it makes Leon happy. So we solemnly agree to go about our princely duties of boob inspection and are told the rune shop is the westmost shop in Sol Felena. Before that, however, we explore the rest of the city. Our first stop is the blacksmith, where we find out this game doesn't actually have obtainable weapons. With over 100 characters you can possibly recruit, the developers went the smart route where you simply upgrade a character's weapons rather than acquire new ones. Here we're going to spend all the money, or as this game calls it, potch, we have to upgrade our and Leon's weapons. On a pier we meet a man of taste, but then we head into a training hall. By defeating enemies we gain SP, or skill points, that we can use to train up the various stats of our characters. I'll get more in depth later, as for now we're going to conserve our SP for when we have a better idea of what to do with it. Outside of the inn we find a chest containing some more Mega Medicine! Further west we find another chest containing medicine. Oh, we do find another cat. This one we try to take with us, but the cat refuses because of the color of our skin. Finally, inside the inn, we find an old lady who wants Galleon to, oh, how to put it,
Eat her pussy?
Titillated by that knowledge, we proceed to the rune shop. Unfortunately for us, for Kyle, the supposed beauty working the shop isn't in right now, and in her place is some dude. Heartbroken, we leave. As soon as we set outside, we hear a ruckus in the streets. We rush over to see a fight about to break out. Kyle runs to break it up, and being the gallant hero, we rush in as well. We find out there are 6 men about to have a fight over politics, one side having apparently insulted the Queen and the other defending her. Not wanting blood to get all over our royal clothes, we attempt to calm them down, by which I mean we beat them up. And here it is, our first battle without George babysitting us. Oh, what should we do? There's 6 of these guys. Do we focus on taking one out or dealing damage equally? I don't know. Oh, Kyle just wipes them all out. Okay, thanks, Kyle. After taking care of the thugs ourselves with no help from Kyle whatsoever, the guards arrive to arrest them. We make sure not to mention our involvement, as assaulting the royal prince would carry with it a much heavier punishment than disorderly conduct. Done with our exploring for the day, we head back to the Sun Palace. As we enter, however, we're taken to a scene involving a private conversation between Farid and Arstadt. This scene is unvoiced, but it's going to be one of the few I let play in its entirety, as I think it really provides a lot of context to both characters. It's not too long, so enjoy it while I finally shut up.
Oh, sire, Her Majesty the Queen is...
I know. But until I leave, don't let anybody disturb us, no matter who it is.
Oh, yes, certainly, Your Majesty.
Arstadt, I'm here.
This scene confirms the theory that Arstadt's behavior is being influenced by the power of the Sun Rune. We also learn that Lord Lake's destruction was likely a result of this influence, as the Queen took on the Sun Rune in order to better protect it from Lord Godwyn, who seeks its power. We see just how sad the situation has made Arstadt, and how much she leans on Farid. The two have a really sweet relationship, and I really like how this scene shows that. We then return to the prince as we share a sunset with Leon.
It's been a long time since we've seen the sunset from here, hasn't it? Prince, I promise to protect you now and always, no matter what. I'm sure you're going to be taking on even more important duties in the future. I don't want you to have to do anything dangerous, but there will probably be times when you can't avoid it. So that's why I'll always be by your side. No matter what happens, I'll protect you. And maybe that will help repay Ferret's kindness, too, for taking me in as an orphan and raising me. Thank you.